Well, I hope you got your seatbelt fastened because with the WWE, we're like at the top of a roller coaster hill and we are going straight down to hell. Except, you know, I take that back. A roller coaster is fun. And the WWE, that's a place where fun goes to die, alright? So this is more like where a turd at the top of the toilet bowl and somebody's about to flush us and we're going straight fucking down. WWE is going straight down the shitter. Wrestling review for Monday Night Raw episode for November 4th, 2013, and I hate this company. I really do. And it's not like just from seeing performers that I like to watch being shit on. I hate that, but it's also from like a business standpoint. What I mean is a business is fluid. It's ever-changing. It's always evolving. You can't just continue to put out the same product over and over and over again and expect to get any better business, to make any more money. Like, just imagine if there was no new next-generation consoles coming out. Like, if there was no Xbox One or PlayStation 4, and, you know, they just decided, what we got now, that's good enough, that'll work. But what if Microsoft just stopped at, like, Windows XP, and they were like, yeah, fuck it, that'll do for another 10 years. Or maybe Apple just decided to stop at the iPad 2. That's good enough, fuck it, let's go take a break. It's like the WWE, they got to John Cena, their next big thing, and they were just like, oh, that's good enough, we're done. We'll see you in about 10 years. I just don't understand what they're thinking or how they expect to do any better or grow as a company when they just keep going Cena, now let's pull out the fucking Big Show. It's just fucking depressing in the end. It's frustrating and depressing. Why would I want to watch a TV show that does that to me? I'll tell you, I fucking don't. Anyway, let's get started with this episode. CM Punk opened the show versus Luke Harper. You had big CM Punk chants throughout the match, and yeah, I like Luke Harper, the thing that he does where he just goes, yeah. I think that's pretty entertaining. The spill that Luke took going over the top rope, he missed the big boot and just went completely over the top rope. The way he fell, I thought it looked kind of neat. And but CM Punk, man, he completely missed the swinging neckbreaker at one point. He didn't even have his hands on Luke Harper. It was just nothing but air there. It did not look very good. Eventually, Punk won with a roll-up from behind, and then he got attacked after the match. Daniel Bryan comes out with a chair, saves the day. Overall, the match was only okay. It seemed pretty sloppy at parts. There were a couple of botches, and it was a little too slow at points for me, too. It was overall a fairly slow-paced match, which I don't mind, but there was just certain points where it got real slow. And the thing with Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, I don't care for that shit at all. They should not be in this thing with the Wyatts. I mean, good for the Wyatts, but at this point where Daniel Bryan especially is at, this is not doing him any favors at all. It's actually hurting him, in my opinion. You know, the fact that you take the most over guy in the company and you throw him on the back burner, except it's arguable now that he's the most over guy because it seems like he's losing steam to me. I mean, like with WWE, maybe we should go with somebody new after all this time. Now that Cena's he's down a little bit. Fuck it. Let's put the Big Show in there. That makes sense. So up next we got a phone call from Paul Heyman. Michael Cole was talking to him. Shit that Heyman was saying was goofy. It was hilarious. You know, he's just good on the mic. And right after that we got Ryback versus the Great Khali with Hornswoggle, with Santino Marella. You think I watched that shit? No fucking way. Up next, we had Kofi Kingston versus Alberto Del Rio, and at one point, closer towards the beginning of the match, Kofi did a jump over the top to the outside, but he just flew over top of Del Rio and landed behind him. He might have grazed him, maybe. It just completely missed. But overall, the match actually wasn't that bad. I mean, every time these two get together in the ring for a match, they do have good chemistry together, so they can put on some pretty decent matches. But the problem is, it just it feels like I've seen this match a million fucking times already. You know, I'm pretty sure that every couple of weeks, these two are facing each other, and Del Rio always wins. So you know what's going to happen. You're going to get a decent match, and then Del Rio will win. But after a while, that same decent match, it just doesn't do it for you anymore. But Del Rio, yeah, guess what? He won. He made Kofi tap with the arm breaker, just like every other match he's had with Kofi. No big surprise. All right, now we got to get to something that's fucking pissing me off on this episode of Raw. This Big Show lawsuit promo, or just recap of everything that happened leading to this ridiculous fucking lawsuit story angle. I mean, I can't believe that they're running this as their top program, their top fucking storyline. A lawsuit angle to get the Big Show's fucking job back. And not only that, but on this episode of Raw in particular, they were replaying shit constantly, all night long, like every terrible thing that had involved the Big Show over the past, like, 8 fucking weeks. We had to watch all in one 3-hour time span. And it took up a lot of time. All those fucking, like, recaps, and then they played this same fucking promo twice in one night. It's like they went back and scooped up all the fucking turds that they dropped along the way for the past couple of months, and they just clumped them all together in one big pile of shit and just made us shoved it in our fucking faces on this Raw. I hated it. It's terrible. Garbage. But in between all those recaps and promos for the Big Show, we actually got a decent match with Randy Orton versus Biggie Langston here. It is voted on by the fans, of course. And then Orton, he cut a good heel promo before the match, stuff he was saying. It was entertaining heel stuff. And, oh shit, it was the WWE Universe. During this match, I tell you what, I'm starting to like Big E, the stuff he's doing in the ring. I like the way he does his moves, and I'm just talking basic stuff like elbows, shoulder tackles, clotheslines, look very stiff, very impactful. I feel like he's definitely improved since he first started. I'm definitely liking what they're doing with Big E. He looked good in the ring with Orton. And, Orton countered the big ending at the end of the match into the RKO, and that's got him the pinfall. But even though Big E lost the match, I thought he looked good, and Orton looked good too. All right, up next was Fandango and Summer Rae versus Tyson Kidd and Natalya in a mixed tag team match. And I actually sat down and watched a segment that had divas in it because I wanted to see Tyson Kidd back. And, Tyson Kidd, he made Fandango tap with the sharpshooter, and it was just good to see him back. I thought he looked good in the ring with the short amount of time that he had. Fandango looked all right, too. Maybe with this publicity surrounding the stupid reality show, we might actually get something positive out of it. Maybe we'll get to see more Tyson Kidd. All right, are you ready for the John Cena portion of the show? So Cena comes out, he's all decked out in pink, as is pretty much every WWE superstar for the whole month of October, now into November. He says, I believe this was the exact wording, my fellow superstars have joined me in, supporting this foundation. The rest of it doesn't really matter. What really matters is my fellow superstars have joined me. You are wrong, John Cena, because if my memory serves me correctly, you were gone for the month of October. So you joined your fellow superstars, not they joined you, okay? It seems small, that seems kind of a little bit nitpicky maybe, but I'm telling you, it's that kind of wording. It gets into your brain, I feel, into the average wrestling fan, and they just word it like that, and they play it like that over and over and over again, that the typical fan, and then they just expect John Cena to be that guy, to be the biggest thing in the company, that he's the one that has to come out and say those kind of things. That's fucking bullshit. Why can't they're all doing it, why is Cena the only one that's allowed to talk about it? I'll tell you why. It's to help put him over. Just like for that Make-A-Wish Foundation a few months ago when he practically hid behind one of those kids as a fucking shield. He's doing it now with this cancer foundation. It's like, if I put this up in front of me, you people can't boo me. Fuck you. It sucks that they do this kind of stuff. I really hated it with Make-A-Wish, that Make-A-Wish thing. This wasn't as bad, but it was pretty fucking close. At least they didn't wheel a cancer patient out into the fucking ring and have him, hold hands with John Cena. But they came pretty fucking close to that. This shit, man. And I really want to say that nothing against the foundation itself or, helping the cause to fight cancer. That's awesome. I mean, obviously, that's great stuff, and I have no negative things to say about that or about the families. This is all directed towards the WWE and how they twist and turn this good thing into a fucking awful thing to try to put John Cena over. That sucks. It's terrible. Anyway, moving on. Cody Rhodes and Goldust and Cena versus Damian Sandow, Jack Swagger, Antonio Cesaro, 6-man tag match. You had Zeb Coulter and Alberto Del Rio on commentary. And I will say this, Zeb Coulter calling out John Cena for getting a title shot right away off of an injury without earning it. I liked that. I thought that was funny that they pointed that out. But then this commentary... Oh my god, this fucking commentary in this match was so bad. Like, these guys were so annoying, all of them. JBL and Michael Cole especially, they were like yelling back and forth to each other. Like, and you had Coulter and Del Rio in there, and they got progressively louder as the match got on. I had a hard time hearing people bumping off the mat in the ring over the annoying fucking commentary. That's how loud they were talking. I'm not exaggerating. And WWE continued this weird racism thing that they've been doing since fucking forever, where like if a guy is Mexican, he has to use words like cojones when he talks, and he has to be barely fucking understandable in his Mexican voice. It's just stupid. It is such a racial stereotype. Like, really? So here's my feelings on this match. The whole time up until the ending, it fucking sucked. Alright, Cena was in that ring for way too long, and the shit was boring. They were barely doing anything. And it sucks because you have all that talent in the match, but Cena gets in there, he just fucking kills the whole thing with all of his slow moves, fucking rest holds, fucking terrible looking clotheslines. It just looked like shit. But when Cena finally got out of that ring, oh man, then it actually got entertaining. And the last 5 minutes, I would say, were really cool to watch. Everybody was hitting all their spots. And then Goldust, he won in the end with the final cut. I don't know if that was his move from before. It's been so long, I can't remember. Looked pretty cool, though. Pinned Cesaro with it, got the win. So I liked the end of the match, but except for those last couple of minutes, this match was fucking boring. Alright, after that we had Dolph Ziggler versus Curtis Axel. So Ziggler was actually on Raw this time. And the match was short, but I thought for sure Ziggler was going to put over Axel, and Axel was going to beat Ziggler. But turns out Dolph Ziggler actually won with the zigzag, although it looked pretty sloppy. And the match was okay. I feel like they could have put on a better match than that. But again, they didn't have a lot of time. And speaking of short matches, wow, how's about the Usos versus Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre? This match was, I don't even think this match hit the 5-minute mark, and the Usos won. Who fucking cares? Alright, now we got a Divas match. And this Divas segment, I guarantee you I didn't fucking watch this shit. This was just a commercial for that stupid reality show. Which brings us to the main event, the big confrontation with Big Show, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon in the ring. After a lot of talking, Big Show gets his job back, and as soon as he does, he goes into leading on a yes chant. That's a good way to kill off Daniel Bryan. You're going to take the guy that made that thing what it is. I don't care what anybody says. Daniel Bryan started it. It's his. He deserves to keep it. But the best way to fucking kill that shit is to have Daniel Bryan barely be on the show at all a week after he gets fucking destroyed. And then you're going to have somebody else completely use his chant and just take it. Just fucking take it. Like, it almost feels like it doesn't even belong to Daniel Bryan now. This shit is ridiculous. Oh, it's just so goddamn frustrating. So right in the middle of this segment that I do not care about, they go to a commercial. Like, it's like 5 minutes before the end of the show, and then a commercial, and I'm like, what? The Shield comes out, cut to a commercial, and they come back, and guess what? In Big Show, he gets his title match against Randy Orton at Survivor Series. Boy, is that gonna suck. And then Triple H throws him in this 4-on-1 handicap match. You get Kane coming out in a suit. Big Show takes an RKO, destroyed by chairs, triple powerbomb through the announcer's table. This fucking shit seemed like it went on forever. I mean, it just would not end. It was like I don't know, 10, 15 minutes after the show was supposed to be over before it actually finally ended. And when it did, I was just thinking, thank fucking God that it was finally over. I don't care about this feud. I really can't believe they're going to go with... This is your Survivor Series right now. You got Randy Orton and Big Show and Alberto Del Rio and John Cena. Guess who's not going to be paying to watch Survivor Series this year? This guy. In fact, I really hope that there are like thousands of fucking people out there that refuse to put any money towards the WWE and this fucking terrible pay-per-view coming up. I just don't give a shit about this. I mean, I've never been so bored watching somebody get triple powerbombed through an announcer's table before in my life. If you can take an exciting and fun spot like that and suck all the energy out of it, well, you just fucking suck. So, overall, I mean, again, frustrating and disappointing. Best way to describe this Raw. I mean, there were a couple of decent matches in there. Randy Orton versus Big E Langston I liked, but there was barely any Daniel Bryan. You got John Cena fucking just pissing me off. And the ending was so bad. And all those fucking replays and recaps of this shit storyline. I mean, WWE, this stuff is just going down the shitter. I mean, they are going down and they are trying to take us as viewers with them. And I can't stand it. Alright, JB Squared 61279 with a wrestling review. And I just want to give a heads up that next week I've got to work 3 10-hour days on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. What that basically means for you guys and these videos is that I'm not going to have enough time to make a Raw review next week. That just takes up all the time I have from when I get off of work normally to when I have to go pick up my kids at daycare. So that takes all the time out right there for me to film and edit these videos. So no Raw review next week. Just a heads up on that. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks for a Raw review.